I call David Seymour, a 5-minute call.
Mr. Speaker, the German Chancellor Bismarck said that those who like public policy and sausages should not observe either being made. And isn't this bill a prime example of that? I regrettably support this bill because it is part of a budget and part of a confidence and supply agreement. And I've been wholeheartedly convinced by the opposition that it is certainly in the best interests of New Zealand for me to keep that agreement going. However, this bill, make no mistake, is mediocre and poor public policy. And let us count the ways and the reason that that is the case. First of all, it stems from a misdiagnosis of the reason that house prices are high. It stems from the belief that it is the demand side that is the problem, not the supply side, and that a capital gains tax can successfully quell housing prices. Well, Mr. Speaker, you only need to ask the people of Sydney, Vancouver, Los Angeles or London whether or not a capital gains tax has any noticeable effect on price levels in housing markets. And in actual fact, Mr. Speaker, in large markets such as the US and Canada, where we have a range of land use planning policies and yet the same tax, monetary and foreign investment policy nationwide, what we discover is that it is the supply elasticity of buildable land that affects house prices. So the first problem is a total misdiagnosis of the problem it seeks to solve. The second problem is that it is politically foolish because it is the acorn that may grow into the tree of a capital gains tax. And we've actually heard that from the opposition, that given the opportunity, the first thing they would do is expand 2 years to 5. Who knows, maybe that wouldn't be enough, then it's 10, and all of a sudden we more or less have a capital gains tax on residential housing. Mr. Speaker, not only have we planted an acorn of a capital gains tax that I can tell you as an electorate MP, Jamie Lee Ross, people do not want on their homes, but it actually won't achieve any of the outcome that it's supposed to achieve. And Kevin Haig did actually give us a number that tells us that is the case. $5 million of revenue expected per year. I know real estate agents who make more than that in royalties each year. It will make so little revenue because it will capture so few transactions. And as the Law Commission, as the accounting firms, as the major law firms of New Zealand told the Select Committee, the reason for that is that anybody engaging in so-called property speculation with any kind of scale can very easily arrange their affairs so that they don't sell the same house within 2 years of purchase. But it will be those very small minority of people who find themselves having bought an extra investment property, who find themselves overextended, who find themselves forced to make a sale and having to pay this tax when they're in dire financial straits. So it will not affect real so-called speculators, but it will affect those unfortunate enough to find themselves caught within this bright line test. So in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, this is a fundamental misdiagnosis of the problem with the housing market in Auckland in particular. It is, in addition to that, a dangerous precedent that will grow into even worse public policy in time to come, and it is executed in such a way that it will have absolutely zero effect if there was to be any at all. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to pay tribute to the submitters to the Select Committee, the Law Society, the law firms, the accounting firms. In many countries, such people would quietly welcome a more complex taxation system because, of course, it fattens their fees. In New Zealand, we have an enormous amount to be thankful for, that on very short notice we received very high-quality submissions from the very people who would stand in a narrow, self-interested way to benefit from this bill, and for that I think we should all be very grateful. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.